Our destination today is Krynica Morska, a small town in the northern part of Poland, very close to the border with Russia. This town offers breathtaking, pristine beaches, beautiful nature, and a sea breeze that can't be beat. In the 1980s and 90s, American cruise lines developed tourist destinations in the Bahamas to private islands that were developed by the companies delivering the cruise. A very similar concept was instituted here in Krynica Morska in 1840 when merchants from Elbląg made cruise destinations for tourists to travel up the Wisła Lagoon and come to the Baltic Sea. Now, they saw great value and possibility to expand this as a business, hence they invested in beach activities, houses, hotels, and so forth, bringing us the Krynica Morska we know today. That being said, there are signs of settlements here dating back as far as the 1300s. The harbor accommodates both fishing vessels and small cruise ships. Considering its modesty as a port, people also use the area for social gatherings, concerts, and carnivals. When you're in Krynica Morska, be sure you take the Wisła Lagoon cruise. The views are extraordinary, and its legacy is highly relevant to the origins of the town. The first lighthouse appeared in Krynica Morska in 1895, but was blown up by Germans in the Second World War. The one behind me was erected in '51, and from here you can see the Hel Peninsula on a clear day. This is a very adventurous attraction. Look at how steep this ladder is. And this panoramic looks as if we are in front of mountains. In fact, you're seeing the difference between sea level and land level. This peninsula is quite low. So not far this way is the border with Russia. We're talking a matter of a few kilometers. Beyond that border is the town of Baltic, a heavily fortified military base. You'd never know it just looking at the gorgeous greenery. This way, towards the west, is quite interesting. There is the end point of the Wisła River where it flows into the Baltic Sea. It's said to have a lot of interesting wildlife. Also, there's a narrow strip of land that the authorities hope to open into a canal, giving mainland Poland access to shipping. And now we are on the legendary Pirates Mound. It was said that this is near the place where the Wisła used to meet the Baltic Sea. There are many little islands that pirates used to harvest their gold, their goods. Again, it's a legend. I don't know how much of that is true, but the view is epic. The walk to this mound was not overbearing. The chance to admire the beautiful trees and flowers on the way was exhilarating. The mound is also quite popular among bird watchers, so don't be surprised if you hear unusual chirps or even notice a magnificent bird now and then. I think the best activity here is just walking in the forest. The combination of the pine trees and the Baltic Sea breeze is incredible, relaxing, good for the mind. When I was driving to Krynica Morska last night, I wasn't quite sure what to expect. There are two kind of complaints that people often give about the Polish seaside, that the weather can be unpredictable, unpredictably bad anyways, and that it can be overcrowded. The latter is absolutely true. If you go to places like Sopot and Gdańsk, it's difficult to find space for yourself. Here, there's plenty of space. In fact, I spoke with locals and they said that all year round, it's possible for tourists to have a little bit of peace and a little bit of solitude, which is a humongous bonus. But there's a funny side to Krynica Morska that I'd like to share with you. The demographic that comes here sways towards the side of senior citizen. And this, on the surface, looks completely as you would expect it. You have people bird watching, you have people walking with their walker sticks, and at the breakfast table, you know, they're up bright and early, ready to eat in their hotel. But this is quite deceptive. Last night when I checked into my hotel, I noticed that the average age there was 70 plus, easily. And what I didn't expect is that those senior citizens threw the biggest, loudest, rowdiest party I've probably seen in my life. I'm talking about electronic music until 1 o'clock in the morning. It's not at all what you would think these people do on their holiday if you saw them in daylight or if you saw them in the city, yet they were wild. And an interesting notion, I suspect, based upon the abandoned communist period buildings that you can find in Krynica Morska, that they came here in their youth as well. And when they return, they're coming to a place that they enjoyed during the prime of their life. And the memories energize the enthusiasm of the night parties. This peninsula is also a sanctuary for birds. I'll be on the lookout for the owl.
No leisure visit is complete without some fine dining. I'm excited to show you what Krynica Morska has to offer.
This small peninsula town has a surprisingly wide selection of food. However, I chose to embrace the spirit of the Baltic Sea at Porto Marina, where they're said to have some of the best fish. We are starting with pickled herring. This is a Baltic classic, and it is a highly, highly traditional Polish dish. I think that it is also a strange thing if you're visiting the country, because you wouldn't typically think about mixing pickled fish with sour cream and marinated beets. It seems like a strange combination, but I assure you, if you're open-minded enough, it's delicious. This food is certainly not for the faint of hearted. The pickled fish basically punches you in the face with taste. Bitter kind of taste. And it's off-put, balanced by the creaminess of the sour cream. So altogether, this is an explosion of flavor that you're probably not used to having, but that you have to experience if you come to the Polish seaside. For my main dish, I have turbot, which is very, very sought after. See, this fish cannot be harvested or targeted in a specific way. Fishermen only catch them by occasion, so I'm curious to try this Baltic delicacy. It's garnished with fruit of the sea, figs, giving it a little bit of an international twist. It's wonderful. It's very similar to halibut in that the taste is rather neutral. Actually, the breading is what gives you the flavor. However, the texture is a little bit more chewy and very specific. Well, I must confess, of all the seafood restaurants near the sea, this is one of the best that I've ever eaten at. The fish was fresh, it was fried enough for good taste, but not for a stomachache. And I guarantee that should I find myself in town again, I'll visit privately.
Not far from the city is the Museum of the Wisła Lagoon, where marine enthusiasts can learn about the history of fishing and boating.
For those of you interested in a little education, I would recommend the Regional Museum, where you can learn about the history of boats and shipping.
Nasze muzeum jest perełką na Mierzei Wiślanej, tak? Nie jest to może jedyne muzeum, ale muzeum, które przedstawia historię danego terenu, tak? Nasze muzeum jest związane z tym terenem, tak? Wiadomo, z Zalewem Wiślanym, jak i z Morzem Bałtyckim, więc wiadomo, że każdy jadący na Krynice Morskiej, lecz nie tylko, tak? I do innych miejscowości położonych na Mierzei Wiślanej obowiązkowo powinien zwiedzić i zobaczyć, tak? Poznać historię ludzi mieszkających tutaj przed, jak i po wojnie. A oprócz historii oczywiście rybołówstwa i szkutnictwa można u nas również zobaczyć wystawy, bo to są wystawy stałe, ale wystawy czasowe, tak? Poświęcone różnym żaglowcom, jak i innym historiom związanym z morzem.
In the future, the place where I'm standing now will be a deep channel letting merchant ships enter and exit the port of Elbląg. It is actually a topic of controversy here in Poland. However, there is no denying that historically, that was a very, very important shipping space. It is disparaging to see what the nature looks like when it's ravaged in this way, but that is the nature of human development. Krynica Morska is quiet, peaceful, and overlooked. All qualities making it the perfect destination for your next getaway. And until then, I'm Ryan Sokash, Poland in.